Hey guys, we are here at Bowhead and today we're going to show you how to put the wheels onto the Bowhead Rogue. The tools that you'll need are a 5mm hex key. You'll also need a T25 Torx. So we have a couple tips for installing and removing your wheels. Putting your bike on a stand is always helpful. We'll send a small pack of blue Loctite, and that is for this bolt only. So this is the axle for the rear wheels of your Rogue, and you'll see this clamping bolt here. So we'll show you later in the video, but lining up this hole is very important. All right, so now for putting your rear wheels on the Rogue. First things first, make sure you have the rotor lined up on the right side of the wheel. And then you'll very carefully slot your rotor in between the two pads. And then with your axle, I recommend placing the hole that you need to align to the back of the bike so that you have it close to where that clamping bolt will need to go. Then you're gonna gently install that axle bolt. And before you torque it, you're gonna find the clamping bolt slot. Oh, hopefully you can see it there. You might have to rotate it a little bit. Make sure you install that bolt nice and straight to avoid stripping it. Once that clamping bolt is loosely in, you're gonna torque your axle bolt to 10 Newton meters. A ratchet is very handy for this part. So 10 Newton meters for that one, and then grab your T25 and 5 Newton meters for this one. And you're ready to ride. One handy tip when you're installing and removing the front wheel of your Rogue is to always have the gear in the smallest cog because that gets the derailleur out of the way. Another handy thing to do for installing and removing the wheel of your Rogue on the front is to lock out your derailleur. So just with that little lockout switch, and that relieves tension from the chain. To remove the front wheel of your Rogue, you'll loosen that axle off, and it's threaded on the other side, so you'll remove the axle all the way. Pop that out, and then you'll very carefully lift the wheel out of the rotor, like so. Get that chain off the cog and drop it out. So now for the front wheel of your Rogue, same thing as the back. You want to line up that rotor carefully. It's a little bit trickier because you just have to get that chain onto the cassette. But you set that on there, and then slot the wheel in kind of directly from the front of the bike. It'll slide nicely into that caliper. And then you just grab your axle, slide that in. And for this one, it'll be a 12 Newton meter torque. Once the wheel's installed again, you can unlock your derailleur. You just pivot it to the front of the bike or to the main part of the bike, and then your derailleur's reset. Another tip for the front wheels of the RX and Reach and the rear wheels of the Rogue is that if you get a flat, you don't have to remove the wheel. You can take that tube out with the wheel on. Your bike will come with Magura pad spacers. I would recommend holding on to those. If you're ever removing your wheel and you don't have them on you, you can always use a piece of cardboard or something like that if you're in a pinch. One very important thing is to avoid engaging your brakes if the wheels are off and you don't have any spacers between your pads. That can cause the pads to compress, and then you'll need to use a flathead or something like that to separate them. But most of all, just avoid compressing those brakes when the wheel's off. Another really important thing about the RX and all of our bikes is just make sure those axles are greased if you're ever doing maintenance.